There's a kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with how much you've done or how little you've slept. It lives in the constant movement of your mind, in the endless pursuit of thoughts that seem important, urgent, necessary to catch and understand and resolve. You wake up and the thoughts are already moving. What you need to do today, what you should have said yesterday, what might happen tomorrow. And you chase them. One thought leads to another, and that one branches into three more. And before you know it, you're 10 thoughts deep into something that started as a simple worry about whether you turned off the stove. But you can't stop, can't let them go. Because somewhere in the back of your mind is this belief that if you just think about it enough, analyze it thoroughly enough, chase down every thread and follow every path, you'll finally arrive at peace. You'll finally have it all figured out. You'll finally be able to rest. But the rest never comes. The peace stays just out of reach. And the more you chase, the more thoughts appear. The more you try to resolve, the more questions arise. Until you're not even sure what you're chasing anymore. You're just running. Always running. And you're so tired. Tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Tired from the constant motion of a mind that never stops pursuing, never stops analyzing, never stops trying to catch and hold and understand every single thought that passes through. You've tried things. You've tried to organize your thoughts, to write them down, to make sense of them through lists and plans and careful consideration. You've tried meditation, sitting quietly and attempting to let thoughts pass like the teachers say to do, like clouds in the sky. But the moment you notice a thought, you're following it. The moment you try to let it go, you're thinking about letting it go, and that becomes another thought to chase. You've tried distraction, filling your mind with other things, with work or entertainment, or busy tasks that keep you occupied. And it works for a moment. For a brief window, you're absorbed in something else and the chase stops. But then it returns. The thoughts come back. The questions resurface. The mental motion resumes. And now you feel even more exhausted because you've used all this energy to escape the thoughts only to end up right back where you started. You start to wonder if this is just how your mind works. If some people are blessed with quiet minds and you're stuck with one that never stops moving. If everyone else has figured out how to think clearly, simply, peacefully, while you're trapped in this endless loop of chasing thoughts that multiply the moment you touch them. And the exhaustion deepens because now you're not just tired from the chase itself, you're tired from believing something is fundamentally wrong with the way your mind operates. Alan Watts understood something about thoughts that most people spend their entire lives missing. He saw that thoughts are not problems to solve, not questions demanding answers, not puzzles that need completing or mysteries that must be unraveled. Thoughts are more like clouds moving through the sky. They appear, they drift, they change shape, they dissolve. And the sky doesn't chase them. Doesn't grab at them trying to hold them in place or push them away or figure out what they mean. The sky simply allows them to move through. It provides space. It remains unchanged whether the clouds are dark or light, thick or thin, moving quickly or hanging still. And Watts would say that you are like the sky, not like the clouds. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear, the space in which they move, the background that remains constant while mental weather passes through. But you've forgotten this. You've identified yourself with the clouds instead of the sky. You think you are your thoughts, that they define you, that they need your attention and management and control. And from this misidentification comes the chase, comes the exhaustion, comes the belief that you must catch and understand and resolve every mental movement in order to finally be at peace. But the sky was never exhausted by clouds. And the awareness that you actually are has never been disturbed by the thoughts that appear in it. Right now, as you're reading these words or hearing this voice, thoughts are moving through your awareness. Maybe thoughts about what's being said. Maybe thoughts about something completely unrelated. Maybe questions or doubts or memories or plans. And notice something. The thoughts appear on their own. You didn't consciously decide to think them. They just arose. And if you don't chase them, if you don't follow them or analyze them or try to figure them out, they dissolve on their own too. Another thought appears. It exists for a moment. It fades. This is the natural movement of thoughts. They come and they go like waves on water, like breath moving in and out, like sounds rising and falling in silence. They don't need to be chased. Don't need to be caught or held or understood. They're just mental events, appearing and disappearing in the space of awareness that you are. But we've been taught to take them seriously, to believe that every thought is important, that every question needs an answer, that every mental movement requires our attention and response. And so we chase. We grab at thoughts as they pass, trying to hold them, trying to understand them, trying to resolve them. And the moment we do this, the moment we treat a thought as something solid and real and important, it multiplies. One thought becomes 5. One question leads to 10 more. The chase feeds itself, creates more of what you're chasing. And you end up exhausted, overwhelmed, convinced that your mind is too busy, too chaotic, too full of thoughts to ever find peace. But what are you actually chasing? What is it you're trying to catch when you pursue a thought? Watts would ask this question and let it sit. Let it reveal something. When a thought appears about something you need to do and you chase it, analyze it, think about whether you're thinking about it correctly. What are you hoping to achieve? Most people would say they're trying to resolve the thought, to figure it out, to get to the bottom of it so it stops bothering them. But notice what actually happens. The more you chase, the more thoughts you have about that original thought. The more you try to resolve it through thinking, the more mental activity you create. You're not getting to the bottom of anything. You're adding layers, building complexity, creating more mental noise in the attempt to create less. It's like trying to calm water by stirring it. The stirring is what creates the turbulence. The chasing is what creates the chaos. And somewhere beneath all this pursuing and analyzing and trying to figure it out is a simple belief. The belief that if you think about something enough, chase it thoroughly enough, you'll finally arrive at peace. You'll finally be done with that thought. It will be resolved, completed, finished. And then you can rest. But this never happens. This has never happened. Because peace doesn't come at the end of thought chasing. Peace is what remains when the chasing stops. Why do we chase? What keeps us pursuing thoughts even when it exhausts us, even when it never brings the peace we're seeking? There's a deeper belief underneath the chase. A fear that if you don't pursue every thought, if you don't analyze and understand and resolve each mental movement, something important will be missed, something necessary will be overlooked. You'll be unprepared, unprotected, unable to handle what comes. The chase feels like vigilance, like responsibility, like the careful management of your life and circumstances. And to stop chasing feels dangerous, reckless, like you're giving up control or ignoring something critical. But Watts understood that this vigilance isn't protecting you. It's exhausting you. The constant pursuit of thoughts doesn't keep you safe or prepared. It keeps you trapped in your head, removed from the actual present moment where life is actually happening. All the energy that goes into chasing thoughts is energy unavailable for living, for being present, for responding to what's actually here rather than what might happen, or what did happen, or what should happen. And the irony is that in those rare moments when you're completely absorbed in something, when you're laughing or creating or fully engaged with what's in front of you, thoughts are happening but you're not chasing them. They move through. They come and go. And nothing bad happens. Nothing is missed. If anything, you're more effective, more present, more alive than when you're caught in the endless pursuit. When you stop chasing thoughts, when you let them be, something reveals itself. Something that was always here but hidden by the chase. Between thoughts, there's a gap. A space. A moment of no thought. And in that space is silence. Not empty silence. Not the silence of nothing. But full silence. Alive silence. The silence that was here before thoughts began and remains after they end. This is what Watts kept pointing to. This is the sky behind the clouds. The awareness that holds all mental movement but is itself unmoving. Unmoved. At peace. You can notice this right now. One thought ends. Before the next begins, there's a gap. Brief. Subtle. Easy to miss because we're so trained to jump from thought to thought. But the gap is there. And in that gap, you're aware but not thinking. Present but not processing. Here but not chasing. And that awareness, that presence, that her-ness, this is what you actually are. Not the thoughts that come and go. Not the mental content that appears and disappears, but the space in which it all happens. The sky that holds all weather without being changed by any of it. What happens to thoughts when you stop chasing them? This is a fair question. A practical one. If you let them be, if you don't pursue them or analyze them or try to resolve them, what do? Do they multiply? Do they overwhelm? Does your mind descend into chaos without the management of constant pursuit? The answer is the opposite of what fear suggests. When thoughts aren't chased, they simply pass through. They arise like they always have. They exist for a moment, and they dissolve, like clouds, like breath, like ripples on water that fade when no stone keeps falling. The thought about what you need to do today appears. If you chase it, it branches into 10 thoughts about how to do it. whether you can do it, what will happen if you don't do it, what you should have done differently before. But if you don't chase, the thought just sits there for a moment and then moves on. Another thought appears. Same thing. It's here, then it's not. The mind becomes simpler, quieter. Not because you've suppressed thoughts or forced them to stop, but because you've stopped adding to them, stopped feeding them with pursuit. Stop turning one thought into 100 by chasing it down every possible path. And here's what Watts understood that changes everything once you see it. Peace isn't something you achieve by successfully managing your thoughts. It's not a state you arrive at after you've chased down every question and resolved every concern and figured everything out. Peace is what you are underneath all the thought chasing. It's not dependent on the content of your thoughts or the quietness of your mind or the resolution of every mental question. It's the nature of the awareness that's been here all along, holding every thought, watching every mental movement present before the chase began and remaining when it ends. You're not trying to become peaceful. You're recognizing the peace you are. The peace that was never absent, never lost, never damaged by a single thought you've had or chased or failed to resolve. The clouds can be thick and dark and stormy. The sky remains the sky, unchanged, untouched, at peace. And you are not the mental weather. You are what it moves through, what it appears in, what allows it to be here without being threatened by it or diminished by it or made less peaceful by its presence. This isn't about achieving a state of no thought. Watts wasn't suggesting you become someone whose mind never thinks. Thoughts will continue to arise. Questions will come. Mental activity will happen. That's what minds do. That's the nature of consciousness. But you don't have to chase. Don't have to pursue. Don't have to treat every mental movement like it's a problem requiring your immediate and thorough attention. You can let thoughts be like sounds. A car passes outside. You hear it. You don't chase the sound. Don't follow it down the street. Don't analyze whether you heard it correctly or should have heard it differently. It's just a sound that was here and now isn't. A bird calls. A door closes. Sounds come and go and you don't give them a second thought. And thoughts can be the same way. A worry appears. A question arises. A memory surfaces. And instead of chasing, instead of pursuing, instead of diving into analysis and resolution and understanding, you let it be. Let it exist. Let it move through. Like a sound. Like a cloud. Like breath that comes and goes without you needing to manage every inhale and exhale. Life becomes simpler. Lighter. Not because there are fewer thoughts, but because you're not doing the exhausting work of chasing everyone. You'll forget this. You'll catch yourself mid-chase, 10 thoughts deep into something that started with a simple observation, and you'll realize you're doing it again. Pursuing, analyzing, trying to figure it all out. And that's okay. The forgetting is part of it. The recognition that you're chasing is already the moment when chasing can stop. You don't need to chase the fact that you were chasing. Don't need to analyze why you forgot or how to remember better next time. Just notice. Oh, I was pursuing thoughts. And in that noticing, without effort, without trying to stop chasing, the chase naturally falls away. You return to the space, to the awareness, to the peace that was here whether you were chasing or not. And each time you notice, it gets a little easier, a little quicker. Not because you're getting better at not chasing, but because you're becoming more familiar with what you actually are. The space, the awareness, the peace that thoughts appear in but never disturb. Like becoming more familiar with the sky by noticing it more often. The sky was always there. You're just seeing it more clearly, recognizing it more quickly, trusting it more completely. What you've been looking for through all this thought chasing, through all the analysis and pursuit and trying to figure everything out, it's not at the end of the chase. It's not waiting for you after you've resolved every thought and answered every question and understood everything completely. It's here, right now, in the awareness that's noticing thoughts. In the space that holds mental movement, in the silence between one thought and the next. You are what you've been seeking. The peace you've been chasing through thoughts is the peace that's aware of all thought chasing and has never been moved by any of it. You're not a person with a chaotic mind trying to become a person with a peaceful mind. You're the peace itself, the awareness itself, the space itself. Thoughts come and go in you like clouds in sky. And the sky has never needed to chase a cloud, has never been disturbed by weather. Has never been anything other than open, spacious, at peace. This is what you are, what you've always been, what you couldn't not be even if you tried. And the chase, the exhausting pursuit of thoughts, it was just the activity of forgetting this. of believing you were the clouds instead of the sky, of thinking you were the thoughts instead of the awareness in which thoughts appear. And now, in any moment, you can remember, not by chasing thoughts better or learning to resolve them more effectively, but by noticing what's noticing, by recognizing what's aware of the chase, by being what you've always been but forgot to notice, the peace that doesn't need thoughts to stop, the space that welcomes all mental weather, the awareness that's reading these words and has never been anything other than free.